We're going to move to our next presenter, which is the last but no means the least, Ben Lai, who is somewhere in the audience. He's going to wave his head and magically appear. Look at that. Ben is a sales trainer, and Ben had the job of actually helping people not just do cold calling scripts, but literally where the sale is closed. So you have a prospect sitting in front of you who has got a level of interest. And if you're not scripted and directed by some sort of sales process, which is repeatable, you are leaving money on the table. So I've asked Ben to do the same thing as everyone else, case study with a couple of these guys, help them with their scripting and identify what the changes have been. So Ben, we're going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much, David, and great presentation so far. And yeah, I can totally resonate with a lot of these. With Ashley, for example, as business owners, seriously, don't do the cold calling yourself. It takes a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. And there's way more ways to do it wrong than there are to do it right. So get someone like Ashley. Craig, big supporter of CRMs. I'm going to be booking a chat with him to look at my CRM as a sales trainer. But yeah, and of course, you do need to have a great website. Thank you, Kate. All right, so I'm going to quickly introduce myself. This is my lovely family. My eldest is 15, Catherine is 13, and my youngest is 8 years old. And here's my story. My story is that I am actually a natural introvert. Now, this is a photo of me in my natural environment. You'll observe that he's quite timid in a networking function. But this is the truth, right? I may present like an extrovert, but in my natural environment, I am actually an introvert, right? I actually prefer to not have the spotlight on myself unless I'm presenting, love presenting. But but the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I'm sure there's a lot of you in the room who identify as introverts. And so you feel like sales and you don't mash, right? You don't want to be unethical. You don't want to be pushy. And so what do you do? And in Arvin's case study, I'll share with you some of the advice that I gave him because Arvin felt like he's in that category as well. But the good news for you is that if I could overcome my introversion and social awkwardness, you ask my family and my friends growing up, I was the social awkward kid, right? They would say, "What's wrong with Ben? How come he doesn't smile?" But I'm a different person. Now, if I could change into who I am today, so can you. But it takes process, it takes time, it takes the right guidance. And I've been very lucky to have some great mentors in my time to help me to where I am today. So we're going to cover the three case studies, Annette, Arvin, and Byron, each one focusing on different areas. So for Annette, we focus mainly on the mindset. For Arvin, we were looking at the strategy. And for Byron, we were looking at his sales process. So let's start off with Annette. Annette is absolutely lovely. It's such a shame that she couldn't be here today because I actually hired her to be my health coach for a couple of months. And the stuff that she did with me was life-changing. So I actually used to suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. And some of the advice that she gave me was transformative. Like she helped me to change some of my dietary changes and my sleep habits and my exercise habits. My life has not been the same because of her, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So with Annette, her current situation is that she's primarily working from a partnership model. She's got a really great relationship with this corporate HR company that's sending her leads and clients constantly. So that's a really great thing for her. The results that she's getting from her clients is really fantastic as well. And I'm one of those living case studies. So she's a great operator, but she was reaching a glass ceiling. And here's the harsh reality for all of you here who are great operators, but you don't feel confident with your sales and marketing. The harsh reality is that the business goes to the best communicators, not the best operators. That's a sad fact, right? People who are really great at marketing and really great at sales will get the business whether they are good or not. So for us, if you really believe in the service that you are providing, if you're a good operator, You have no choice. You have to learn sales and marketing. Otherwise, the business is going to go to all of those idiots out there who are just really good communicators, right? So my goal with Annette was to help her to firstly overcome those mental barriers. Because as a fellow introvert, one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to be humble. We shrink at the opportunity to help people. We think, oh yeah, maybe I can help you, maybe not. And that was awesome. She changed my life, right? And so the first thing what I did with her was to encourage her. I said, hey, your results are awesome. But then we had three other key barriers, and this is what I usually take my clients through. Mindset around money. Another trait about introverts and humble and good people is that we have an aversion to earning money, which is weird, right? But but here's the reality. We have this saying going around in our culture. Money is the root of all evil. Oh, well, so what are we all doing then? Well, we should all just run charities, right? And all not-for-profits. Here's the reality. Even not-for-profits need to make a profit, right? Otherwise, they have to close their doors, right? It's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all kinds of evil, right? So get it right. That's a biblical, it was taken from the Bible and it's been misinterpreted. So it's the love of money. So if you're out there and you're trying to squeeze money out of people and by ripping them off, then that's a problem, right? Because you love money more than you love people. But for the vast majority of us, we start our businesses because we want to help people and we want to make a living out of helping people. Right. So that was the starting point with Annette. Now that leads to the next point about business. Now, again, our media and our culture is not doing us any favors with our mindset around business. Every movie you watch has the villain is the CEO of some company, and they're thinking, how are we going to rip people off today? We're going to go mow down some forests and go kill people to get money, right? So that's the weird picture that we have of business. But here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is every business exists to solve a problem or several problems. So Ashley solves problems of, having to do lead generation. Craig solves the problems of a systemization and an organization and operations of the business. Kate helps people solve the problem of having a good having a good image, first impressions, right? So then, if we are going about solving people's problems, do we deserve a profit? And it's like, duh, yeah, of course you do. Now over to the hard one, which is sales. Now here's the hard part. All of us have received those darn annoying sales calls, not Ashley's ones, of course, other sales calls where they're so pushy, right? And they don't care whether you want the product or not. I still remember one. I accidentally picked up a cold call once, and I say, oh, I'm not really interested in this. And he tried to use objection handling techniques on me. On a sales coach, come on, dude. Like, I know all the techniques. Stop it. Stop it. It doesn't work like that, right? So we have that negative association, but here's how you reframe it. We are here to help people to solve problems. Our job is not to convince people to buy our services. It's to find the people who have that problem and then offer to help them solve it. Right? So if you think of it that way, we almost have a moral obligation to sell as much as we possibly can. Because there are lots of people out there who need your help. You just have to find them. You have to identify them, qualify, see if you can help them, and then sell to them. All right, so that was Annette. Let's look at Arvind's case. So Arvind's situation is that he does not have a sales background. He's very similar to me. He's introverted, new business and product, bringing it to the market, potentially some really long sales cycles. So what are we going to do with Arvind? How are we going to help him? So my goal was twofold. One was to help him with his go-to-market strategy. So this is some foundational business terminology. I am shocked as to how many marketing firms do not ask these types of questions to find out what the go-to-market strategy is. Then the second step was to develop the internal capability. All right, so how do you go about creating a go-to market strategy? It's very similar to what I mentioned before about mindsets. Firstly, you ask this question: what problem do you solve? The next question is, who do you solve it for? Now, okay, so what problem do you solve and who do you solve it for? Now, here's the thing that I hear from most people. They say that, oh, my ideal client are medium-sized businesses, right? That's their niche, medium-sized businesses. That's like, gee, there's quite a lot of medium-sized businesses out there, right? So it's not specific enough. But the fear that we have when it comes to niching is that we fear that we're going to narrow the market too much, right? And we're going to miss out on opportunities. So how do you balance these two? Here's how you do it. First, you have a broad niche. Then you have segments. My broad niche is introverts and people from non-sales backgrounds, right? So that's broad, but it's specific enough that a person can say, yeah, I'm an introvert and I have no sales experience. Then I have, as one segment, business owners, right? So business owners is actually my core because especially small business owners, right? So we're getting really nice and specific. I can speak a certain language to that particular niche. Then the next one would be salespeople, and the next one would be medical professionals. So I was challenging Arvind to think about these things, not just who, like, yeah, everybody could benefit from AI automation, but who would benefit the most? And this is a bit of an iterative process. At the beginning, it's very hard to identify. So I challenged him to, to test the market, to see what feedback he gets. Right. So this is a lot easier to do if you've already had a track record. But when you're brand new to market, you just have to test the market to see what problems they have and who experiences that problem the most. All right. So that was the go-to market strategy. Then we were talking about developing the internal capability. Now, for those of you in small businesses and you feel like you don't want to do the selling, you're thinking you want to hire a salesperson. Can I give you some really valuable, this is $1,000 advice, okay? And will save you tons of hours and tons, actually way more than thousands of dollars. Don't hire the salesperson first, okay? Hire them last. And I was so happy to hear this, another well-known business advisor, Dan Martell. I was so glad to hear that he resonates with this advice. You hire admin first, then you hire production next, then only you hire sales. Why? Because nobody is going to sell better than you as the business owner. Nobody, right? So we again, we have no choice. We have to get good at this skill because the number of horror stories that I've heard of people hiring salespeople and they don't do what they promise, it doesn't work out. They spend buckets of money just paying them a salary with zero results. Doesn't work. Oh, but Ben, I'm going to put them on commission only, right? Let's think about this for a sec. If they're a good salesperson, would they want to work for commission only? No, forget it. It's only the starters that are happy to sacrifice their time for the risk. Again, I've never seen it work, right? There is no incentive for them to work hard. And when there's delayed gratification, month one, month two, month three, they don't see any commissions. Are they going to be motivated to work for you? Heck no. So don't bother, right? Don't bother with hiring salespeople unless it's Ashley's team. Uh, you need to hire this absolutely last. Now, Arvin was very lucky. He managed to find someone to do the selling for him as a business partner. So good on you, Arvin. Let's give Arvin a round of applause. Now he can focus on what he's good at, the tech stuff, and his business partner can focus on the sales stuff. So there we go. Problem solved and tens of thousands of dollars saved on that experiment. All right, over to Byron. I'm Able Support Network. So Byron's situation is that he has a strong referral network. And I was really surprised, 25% conversion rate for referrals. Usually, when you get a warm referral, it's 80, 90, even 100% conversion rate. So I needed to do some digging around to figure out what was going on there. And the thing is, he's also providing a high quality service, But for some reason, people were dropping out because they misunderstood the offer. So what did I do? What were the goals with Byron? So number one, we needed to define the sales process to figure out what was going on with those conversion rates. Then I would teach some basic soft skills with sales, and then help him to create some differentiation from the other competitors. Why were we losing business to those other people? All right, so for the first part, defining the sales process, four simple steps. We first have the triage, then we have the consultation, presentation, then the close. Nice and simple, very easy to follow. There are micro steps in between. These are not necessarily different touch points. You can certainly mash the triage and the consultation together, or the consultation and the presentation together. I had a call the other day that lasted for half an hour. I went through all four steps in that half hour, and I was asking the closing question at the end, and ended up winning that business. So it really depends on your unique situation. So what we discovered with Byron's situation was that the referrals were not being properly triaged by the referral partners. And so what he and his team had to do was to actually do the triaging themselves. And so some people literally walking off the street, coming to him, not qualified, right? It's no possibility of doing business and for them becoming a participant. That's their other word for being a client. So these participants were not being qualified. They didn't know whether they had the pre-approvals for government funding, etc. So we identified that is the main point that we need to fix up. We need to really communicate better with the referral partners to make sure that they are sending the right people their way. So the next step was the soft skills. So David was kind enough to teach Byron the napkin method of the sales process. I'm not particularly familiar with that methodology, but what I said to Byron was that the way that I do things is a little bit different. And look, you can still use the napkin pitch if you want to, but here's the way that I do things that's different to most sales processes out there. We make everything about the client. So resonating with what Kate was saying, the website needs to really call out, this is about you, and Ashley, what's in it for you? The sales process is no different. From the word hello to the word would you like to go ahead, everything has to be in their best interests. And so from that perspective, what I suggested is that the presentation phase needs to be as small as possible, right? The rest of the consultation is asking and empathizing and discovering about the person. You're listening, empathizing, helping the person to feel understood and cared about. So it's not a replacement of the current system. It's just a way of complementing it and showing people that genuine care factor, which I think is so important for his industry. Okay, so the third thing was creating differentiation. Now, the thing about the NDIS industry is that everybody looks the same. It's like, so what's the difference? And so the price is the same, the service is the same. So what's different? I'll just share with you a quick personal story. I used to sell the most boring product on the planet. It was domain names, right? Domain names is just what you type into a website to go to a website. It doesn't matter who you bought it from. We were selling them for $140, my employer, $140, and our competitors were selling it for $25, $40, right? So how did I, as an ethical salesperson, sell $140 domain names? This is what I did. I made it about the relationship. I made myself the differentiator. So in the same way I was saying to Byron and his team, you need to make yourselves the point of differentiation, right? So the care factor, the thoroughness, right? The empathizing, the relatedness, right? If you build a relationship with people, then they're more likely to go with you, even with all other things being equal. So with the domain names, what I said to my customers at the time was that when you buy a domain name, you don't just get a domain name, you get me, right? And here's my direct number. You call it, I'll pick up. It's not going through a queue, right? So that was my value add. So for those of you in the audience, if you're thinking, oh, how do I differentiate myself? You are the differentiation. The other business doesn't have you, right? So who you are as a person, Hopefully, you're a person of good character and trustworthy, and you're a very caring person. You can be the point of differentiation. All right, so I want to thank you so much, guys, for coming today. I am actually providing complimentary sales coaching. So scan the code. The link's going to be put into the chat box. And really, the goal of this initial consult is meet and greet to get to know each other. Tell me about your biggest sales challenge, and I will do my best to help you to resolve that within a half an hour period. No obligation to do business with me afterwards if you don't want to, but if you do, the invitation is open to you. So scan that, book a meeting. We'd love to hear more about your business.
Amazing. Let's give Ben a quick round of applause. I think what happens is a lot of people think they know how to sell. And as Ben has identified, it's literally about communicating more effectively, identifying problems, and providing solutions. So I encourage people to actually engage with Ben. I think he does a great job of presenting, but he also does a really good job of identifying what's missing in your process.